Arizona at this hour, the McCain family gathering at the funeral home, while at the state capitol, thousands are already lining up on a very hot day to bid a final farewell to the senator. He will lie in state on what would have been his 82nd birthday today. Joining me now is Republican Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, who will be giving the benediction at today's memorial service. Senator, my condolences to you. I know this has been such a difficult time. No matter how long you prepare, the family prepares, and you're part of the extended family, right, you're never really ready for this.
Right. It's a loss for all of us, all 7 million plus Arizonans, but 330 million plus Americans as well. It's a big loss, and to have this on his birthday is a special time here at the Capitol.
Senator, tell us about the last time you talked to him. How did you say your farewell?
Well, thank you. I've been up to the ranch on a number of occasions, the last time being just the day before he passed away, and it was a sweet time to be there with his family, surrounding him there. I can tell you he has a wonderful family that has supported him so well and has sacrificed so much for him to be shared by all of us. But by the last long conversation I had was earlier in the year. We were up at the ranch just sitting out on the deck and watching Oak Creek wander by. And for over an hour, we sat there and talked about Arizona's past and its future, and the country's past and future, and reflected on personalities of the past that he admired, and his hope and optimism that such leaders would rise up in the future.
Can you share with us why you think he chose two former presidents who denied him the presidency by defeating him, George W. Bush and Barack Obama, to eulogize him at the National Cathedral this coming Saturday here in Washington?
Well, for one, they were good friends of his, and that is the thing that we learned from John McCain, that he saw humanity in everybody, his captors, those who tortured him in Vietnam, and his political opponents. And I think it's perfectly fitting, and I think he wanted the statement made as well, that we ought to see the good in our opponents, that these political battles are just political battles, and in the end, we're all Americans, we're all friends. I hope that's what we take from all of these ceremonies, is, we ought to be kinder and see the humanity in our opponents.
Is it also implicitly a rebuke to the current president, Donald Trump?
I'd prefer to see it just as a way to say that we can get past these political contests. This week I hope we can emphasize the positive, and the positive is that we have people of a different party and of his own party who defeated him in politics at one time or another, and they are going to say wonderful things about him at his funeral. That should tell us a lot about John McCain and how we can be better.
I'm very struck by the day after a primary election in the Republican Party and in the Democratic Party out there in Arizona. The voters spoke, and you tweeted today, and I'm wondering whether it's also in that spirit, where you tweeted to both, congratulations to Kyrsten Sinema and Representative McSally for winning their respective primary races last night. The seat is now reserved for the first female senator in Arizona's history. How cool is that? So you're congratulating a Democrat as well as a Republican.
You bet. Whether it's a Democrat or a Republican representing Arizona, it's going to be the first female senator in Arizona's history, in our more than 100-year history. That's a wonderful thing. We ought to all celebrate that. And I hope that it's a good contest in the next 3 months. It's a short general election campaign with such a late primary. And I hope that we can get away from the vitriol that usually accompanies these kind of contests, and celebrate the fact that we're going to have a change. We'll have a female senator for the first time. That's a wonderful thing, and I wish them both well.
Well, there was a little bit of action on that front last night also on the Republican side, because the president tweeted after Martha McSally won her primary against two Republican opponents who were certainly much more hardline than she. Martha McSally, running in the Arizona primary for U.S. Senate, was endorsed by rejected Senator Jeff Flake and turned it down. A first. Now Martha, a great U.S. military fighter jet pilot and highly respected member of Congress, wins big, all caps. Congratulations and on to November. And you responded on Twitter, sorry, real Donald Trump, I made no endorsement in this race. I think the last endorsement I made was in the Alabama race, question mark. Showing the check,
Well,
the canceled check there.
I thought I needed to remind that I made no endorsement in this race. I knew that, this in a contest like this, this is the president's party right now. Much to, I think, all of our consternation, but I'm not, I don't feel too good about our future as a Republican Party if we just continue to drill down on the base and demonize our enemies and try to win elections without appealing to a broader electorate. I am concerned about the party, but as for me, I'm fine. I've lived a very charmed political life, and 18 years in Washington, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I wish both of those who won the respective primaries well.
Do you see a political future for yourself on the national stage?
I'll never be too far from it. I do care about politics. I hope we can find a way to move forward that recognizes that we've got to find the center, that we can't go on simply going to the extremes in both from both parties. I'm concerned about that. So I'll certainly be around and find ways to contribute, but I also am anxious for this fever to cool just a bit. But I'm anxious to play some kind of role.
Well, Senator, we want to thank you, and again, our condolences. I know you're going to be giving the benediction and helping to heal at the service later today, and we thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you, and it's a day of both mourning in Arizona and celebration for a wonderful life lived. So, thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.